Hey everybody, Matt Lawton here with Astrological Winds, our weather forecasts for the week of January 27th through February 2nd of 2020. Remember, we just had that new moon on Friday, so we're in like a new moon build up to the full moon for 2 weeks since Friday, and we just had the big Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto conjunction that I talked about too, which is basically a new moon phase with those three planets together too. In particular, the Jupiter Saturn, our 18, 19-year old or 19-year long phase. And then we also have the Saturn Pluto conjunction, Jupiter Pluto conjunction in like what we are considering a new phase. So this is like a good time to get things planted, to get things seeded, to get things going, projects that are going. And like I said last week, look at the house that the new moon fell into in your chart to determine what part of your life it may be ripe for some new plans, some new seeds to be grown. And in particular, right now is really a good time to do that. And reason being is we are right now in a period of time where there's no planets at all that are retrograde. Everything's moving forward. So energy is moving forward very quickly right now. So changes that we elicit at this point can really get a nice quick spurt of growth right at the beginning when none of the planets are retrograde. And we don't even have any of the four main asteroids retrograde. So this is like really a right time to get energy moving forward and direct and get some good traction going. The next planet that will actually go retrograde is Mercury, our friend who causes all kinds of trouble in our regular lives once he goes retrograde, which will be on February 17th. So we still have about 2-3 weeks before he really starts to slow down to turn his motion retrograde. So these next week or two, really want to try to get your seeds planted in the ground, get that stuff going. And Mercury goes into retrograde in Pisces. It's definitely going to be a very confusing 3 weeks during that time. So that's one of my main things I want to express to you this week. But there's a shift this week, and you're probably feeling it this morning. It really is mainly the beginning of this week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, where we're really going to feel this. And we have a lot of Neptunian energy to deal with these 3 days, and Piscean energy. And Pisces and Neptune are very similar in their energy signatures. So what we have going on is Venus is now conjunct Neptune on Monday. And these are the two planets of love, basically. Venus is love that's conditioned by humans. It's our everyday love experiences. It's our relationships and how we feel about the places we're in, the surroundings we have. Like, how do we love where we are at, or do we not love where we're at? It's a judgmental or conditional form of love, or what would be called maybe a lower octave form of love. And it's conjunct Neptune, which is unconditional love, a higher octave of love. So we can really feel like soul union or even soulmate type connections with people under this energy. Really appeals to our ideals about the way we want our relationships to be. And it can really jack up like creative energy too, like artistic type of energy. So it's like a really good time for like redecorating or decorating surroundings or your environment, or just getting yourself into an environment that you're comfortable in. And usually, like a de-stressful type of environment is what I would recommend by that. So, like, really trying to find environments that are aesthetically pleasing and bring out feelings of calmness and relaxation. Now, the danger with Venus Neptune is that we can put people on a pedestal, or situations on a pedestal, or environments on a pedestal, where we're actually being overly ideal about the reality of the situation, which can actually set up a little bit of discouragement if people don't live up to those ideals or expectations that we have. So that's one of the dangers of it. At the same time that, Venus and Neptune are getting together, since Venus squared Mars on the weekend, if you remember, Neptune's also, going to square Mars also. So that is a big energy dissipator. Mars is all about our action and energy, our everyday motivation. And when Neptune comes in, it dissipates energy. So a lot of us may feel physically slowed down the first 3 or 4 days this week. We may find that a lot of our actions do not go the way we want them to. They're kind of like hard to push in any direction. It's like kind of trying to push water, basically. So instead of like it going forward, it's going like all over when we push it. So it can also bring up like physical situations in our bodies. This virus that actually is going around the world right now, which to me is definitely attached to that whole Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter conjunction that we talked about. But Mars and Neptune together is ripe for spreading virus. So we can see like this virus is spreading all over the world and giving respiratory type problems, which is another Mars Neptune type of issue that can come up. People who have allergies many times can get them extremely triggered under a Mars Neptune kind of energy. So like our physical energy will be lower, which of course affects our attitude and can really be discouraging when we feel like the actions we are trying to take are futile. Literally, like, okay, it's just not going the way we wanted it to go. So it's a little discouraging on that level. The best thing to do with Mars Neptune really is just slow type movements, like yoga or Tai Chi is really a good expression of Mars Neptune energy, because it's really easy to overstrain yourself if you try to get overly active and try to push too far. And then Mars is also sesquiquadrate Uranus at the same time, which can set up some kind of accident or just pushing it a little too far. Also, that can tie into the frustrating or futile actions energy, because Mars Uranus can like block things, can block our actions from things that are out of our control, that are upsetting, and kind of change what we were planning on doing. So kind of all mixed together in this like soup of Neptune, Piscean energy. The moon's in Pisces the same days, and therefore the moon will conjunct Neptune actually tomorrow, Tuesday. And so that this whole beginning of this week is going to be like this kind of really hard to get a grip on. We may be dealing with like disappointments too. And it's interesting. I mean, even something like the death of Kobe Bryant, the famous basketball player yesterday, is like kind of like a Venus, Neptune, Mars thing. I mean, Mars, he's a sports figure, which is Mars. And then, this sudden accident, which is the Uranus thing, the Mars sesquiquadrate Uranus, causing like really a lot of self-reflection about, I've heard so many of these people say, how love and relationships become so important, and we need like some famous person like Kobe Bryant or Princess Diana to get killed in this very public manner in order for us to realize how important the relationships are in our lives too. So I think like we almost have a sacrificial king here showing us, hey, what's really important in our lives, and to try to hold on to a higher ideal of what love is. So really good manifestation of that energy, a really tragic manifestation of that energy at the same time. Two other things I'd like to mention briefly too. Now remember, we started going into the Aquarian energy last week. We had the Sun and Mercury going to Aquarius, which brings in Uranian energy, which brings in the higher octave of Saturn energy. Well, this week, our main asteroid of the four main asteroids, which is Ceres, the motherly energy of the female archetype, is going into Aquarius too. And this, is where we want to get like our nurturing and our protection wants to come out and protect those who are different than us, to respect the individuality of every person, and allow them to still have nurturing energy even if they are different than what they are, and actually like be into helping and protecting and growing that unique individual's life path. And that can be ourselves. That can be ourselves. So I think the danger with Ceres in Aquarius would be to become a revolutionary type person, but really to be unclear about how or why we're doing that. Like kind of just doing it out of reaction rather than having like a purpose. So like Ceres in Aquarius is like everybody needs to be taken care of in society equally to have their basic needs met. So you have someone like Andrew Yang who's saying like we all need to have like a monthly stipend to be taken care of in this changing world that we're in, where so much of technology is eliminating so many of the jobs that normal people have, and that there's just this inequality of wealth distribution, which Pluto and Capricorn has shown us over the last 10 years. So Ceres is like, I want to fight for equality within society, Aquarius, where everyone is getting their needs taken care of. And we'll take this on a very intellectual and logical approach to doing that. The last thing I want to mention is on the weekend, we have a Venus sextile Pluto, which is an opportunity to deepen relationships. And usually, it's not every relationship. We actually will focus in on one or maybe just a couple, two or three. But we have the opportunity to like deepen certain relationships because deep emotions are going to come to the surface in them. And it's a positive way, being able to share some of our most intimate feelings with loved ones so that we can transform our relationship into even a higher level and a more trusting level and a deeper level than where it's at now. So there's a really good opportunity to do that next weekend, February 1st, 2nd, 3rd area. All right, that's what I got for the astrological weather for this week. don't want to go too long here. I do want to do some astrological forecasts in the next couple weeks or so that kind of explain a lot of the background energy that's going on in a bigger sense with some of the outer planets and the signs that they're in now, some of the aspects they're going to be making over the next year or two. And we'll kind of get into that on how, the planets operate on 3 different levels really in our lives. And this big, broad background level, then a social level, and then our personal level. So let's get into that soon. But in the meantime, have a good week here, and just don't get too discouraged by Neptune these first few days. Remember, everything's just a passing phase. Everything's a cycle, and everything's going to cycle back to other places. So keep your head up, and don't try to get lost in a discouraged or defeatist type of attitude if Neptune is dissipating too much of what you're trying to do early this week. All right, until next time, this is Matt Lawton signing off on Astrological Winds channel. Anybody who needs any kind of reading, I am available. It's Matt, MATTHUE 823 at gmail.com. Thanks so much. Please sign up to the channel. Please spread it far and wide. And please encourage others to sign up to the channel. Thanks for your feedback. And until next time, namaste.